Y'all, welcome to Built by Ty Talks, y'all. You want to know how to get nice shit like this? Lock in. Lock the fuck in. Welcome to Built by Ty Talks. Before you hear where I am today, I want you to understand where I came from. This story isn't about business or success. It's about faith, family, and the grind that Built by Ty Talks. My parents have been together since they were 13, and they had me at 15, on their own figuring out life in the world that told them that they wouldn't make it. My mom, a young black woman, and my dad, a young white man, living through the 90s when that wasn't easy. They had my brother Elijah, who was special needs and spent most of his years in the beginning in the hospital, and bills were piling up while they were still kids themselves. My dad went in and out of trouble and stuff all throughout his times. My mom held the family together through it all. When he got out, they chose to love again, remarried, and start over. They packed everything, left Seattle chasing new beginnings in Arizona, and eventually we ended up in Minnesota. They went from sleeping in their cars to building a towel company out my mom's tax return, turning it into a $5 million a year business. That's the foundation that Built by Ty Talks. Sitting down with my mom and my dad to talk about what it really takes to stay strong through struggle, build from nothing, and never lose faith even when life breaks down. Because this is more than my story. It's the story that built me. Let's get into it, y'all. The story of how faith, love, and discipline turned rocks into a foundation, y'all. This is my mom, Cassandra. This is my dad, Ty. And they've been through, oh shit.
Stop.
Before Built by Ty, before the business, before all of this, there's a story. My mom and dad have been through it all together. This is the things that built the mindset that I live by today. This isn't about success. It's about faith, struggle, and what it takes to keep a family together through it all. This is my mom, Cassandra, and this is my dad, Ty. They've been together since they were 13, and the story shaped everything about who I am today. So, y'all, how did you two meet?
Oh, boy.
Middle school? Well, actually, so it started off with his brother, which is older than us, because it goes us, then our brothers, then my brother and my sister. So they were going to high school together. And then my brother would come home from high school and tell me about his brother and how he was really cute and all the girls wanted him. He had green eyes or whatever. But I asked my brother, does he have a younger brother? And he was like, yeah, nobody cares about Ty because, you know how my brother is. He's not fond of Ty. So he would tell me about the brother. And even though we were both in elementary at that time, he was going to a different elementary than I was going. And we didn't actually meet until 7th grade until all schools were closing. So everybody was transported to a new school that was built to hold us all.
I smacked her booty on the school bus. Long story short. Then I tried to walk her home and she was like, no, my mom won't have that. That didn't work.
So what do people say when they found out you two were having a baby so young?
Really?
It was a lot of debate if we were ready, if that was going to be okay. His grandmother was adjusting to the new era of biracial couples, so she sent a letter to me. She did later on grow on to love to me, but it's a new era, so it was tough. My mom's just like, you're gonna do this, and yeah.
It was just fast. It went fast.
How old were you guys at that time?
15.
15.
How long you guys been together at that time?
30. Well, at that time? Well, since we were 30, just a couple of years.
No, we were not together for no couple years.
Yeah.
No, you tried me at 13, but we didn't. That was 15. We just got together a few months before. It was around Halloween.
Like I said, it was fast.
And what was it like being teens in the 80s at that point? The biracial
90s.
90s, yeah. 90s.
I mean,
it was lovely. The 90s are
they were best.
It
was the best.
The best time.
I mean, it was Arab. I mean, we were. He was in. I had to write him a letter to let him know that I was pregnant because he was in detention, juvenile detention at that time.
So we have 5 babies, and all 5 babies, I was in prison.
No, not all 5. The first 3.
The first 3.
Yes. First 3 and first 6 months.
There's a big gap between the last.
You figured it out by then.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I remember I had to write him a letter. He was out, and then like within 2 weeks, I was missing. You know what I mean? My menstrual, and he was in juvenile detention, and he had a probation officer, and she hated him. Like she had this big old like 2-inch binder like criminal record because he was always in trouble. So I wrote him a letter, and she would go in there and interrogate him and say that I wouldn't stay with him, that it wouldn't work, that he didn't belong, that whatever else.
I was destined for prison.
So
Yeah, that's interesting.
here you are.
Yeah, here you are. And I'm not in prison. Thank God. God bless. Right?
So were there people though that did support, or how was the support at that time? Or was it pretty much you guys were on your own?
Well, my mom basically said that I have to do what I got to do. I got to take care of my kid. You know what I mean? She's gonna love me no matter what. You know what I mean? And I think his mom did the same thing. And his father.
Our family was supportive all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, your grandpa John, he was ecstatic. You know what I mean? And I think everybody just knew that we had to figure it out.
But we had our own place. We had our own place when we were 15.
16.
16. Yeah, we had our own place, and we were.
Times were different, and so we were able to get our own place. Usually, you can't get your own place, so we had our own little place, and we
didn't
just
have credit or nothing.
No, we didn't. We didn't have credit or anything.
No, we had some unorthodox methods, but we made it work, right?
But
thanks to God again.
I think everybody just supported us and did the best they can to, you know what I mean. I was always gonna make sure that no matter what, you were good and we were good. You know what I mean? Dad was still trying to figure out who he was and where he was and what was important to him and what he needs to do to become a man. You know what I mean? In the same time, I had to.
That sounded like some low blows.
Low
blows.
Well, you had to figure it out. But I mean, we all, we just wanted what was the best for our family.
We did. I mean, I think the truth, the key to staying together for so long, because we've been together now, we've been together.
How long?
Well, I don't know, 15.
Where were you supposed to go?
42,
Where were you supposed to go?
30 some odd years, right?
He's how old?
Well, he's 27, so
30
some odd years.
All right.
But the key to do that is obviously God and obviously, well, it's just fighting for each other, right? It's fighting for each other and, just wanting to be together and stay together and figuring it out. I think nowadays it's so easy as, it just, people want to fall in love and it's not that easy. It's built over time.
Well, when hard times come, it's easier to run than to deal with.
Oh yeah, we've had some hard times. Those are, I mean, we can get into the hard times, but that's a whole nother subject, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get into that in a minute. We're gonna get into struggles and redemptions now.
Oh shoot.
But Dad, how did your own family background shape how you handled becoming a father so early?
Well, everybody was good. My sister was supportive. My mom was supportive. My dad was supportive. Grandma took the initial news a little rough with
Great
that.
grandma.
Great grandma.
Grandma,
Right,
yeah.
great grandma. But
His great grandma.
rest in peace. But she's a beautiful soul too. God bless her.
She was a very beautiful person.
And Grandma June. But yeah, everybody was good. I think raising a baby saved.
I think it was harder probably on my brother.
Yeah, it was harder probably on our brother. Yeah.
Just thinking I'm his little sister, but everybody else was. I think they just knew that it was going to happen anyway, so they were prepared.
Yeah, you can't really go back much on that.
No.
Yeah, looking back, what kept you two together when it would have been easier to walk away?
Love.
Yeah, love.
I mean, even when I think that we faced lust, or we were young and just growing up, but I think at the end of the day, what maintained strong is that like we're free with each other. We love each other deeper than anything else. You know what I mean? So
faith in one another, y'all.
Yeah,
lust is the devil. Don't forget that.
We're better together than without each other. I mean, that's for sure. We've been tested in every aspect. I mean, don't get it wrong. We've had our fair share of fights.
Oh, I mean, we fought like cats and dogs.
Our first half of our first 5-10 years was nothing but fights.
Oh yeah, it was brutal.
So I remember one time I had a helicopter, and I was like an RC helicopter I was building, and she loved her clothes, her short tops. I
did not wear short tops.
Yeah,
they were not
short. Yeah,
they were not short.
But We had gotten in a fight. I bleached
crop
her.
tops, maybe, but not that short.
I bleached all of her clothes, and she beat my.
That was episodes now.
Yeah,
don't
that was an
lie.
episode.
One time it was the t-shirts, and then next time it was the jeans, and then he tried to take me to go buy some granny clothes to try to make up for the clothes that he thrashed. So just so you know.
But she did beat my helicopter with a baseball bat.
Sure did. Better the helicopter than him.
But those are, those
Every
are
action
things-
has a reaction.
That's right.
We were hashing out our morals in our boundaries and everything. We were hashing it out, and it eventually became where we're just one. And it all merges together over time.
I mean,
But
I think as we got
took all
older,
that.
we realized that all those fights were really not as important as our beliefs and what we want.
Right.
We just didn't know how to go about what we actually felt.
Correct.
And so there was, his friends, my friends, family. There's
Yeah, but those kind of moments, you know what I mean? They're God put you through them to make you and build you up. You know what I mean? God will put you through hard times to be able to teach you to appreciate the good times. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you have to go through hard times like that and go through the arguments and fights to appreciate one another.
Well,
yeah.
It builds the
I
character.
mean, we
it
didn't
builds-
until we, got to that point.
I mean,
we just
even-
fought. You know what I
Even
mean?
in our worst time, where for example, going to prison so many times and doing the things that I did is, whatever happened at the end of the day, she was always still there. Even in our downest moment, if she was gone, I could call her and she would show up. I remember there was a night where, I was having a rough night. I mean, there was helicopters, dogs, you name it, right?
You had a girlfriend.
And I had a girlfriend. So
yeah.
Calm down. So look, even at my downest moment at that night, I'm hiding in the bush, and who do I call? I call her. She drives 4 hours and picks me up. So you can't, that's just.
I think we just realized we both. I think we fought each other to the point where we also knew, even with me and I'm trying to figure out where I belong, like who I am, like with all the fights and the battles, I felt like there was always something better for me, like because he didn't know how to treat me and he wasn't treating me right. He's trying to figure out who he is. So in my mind, as a girl, I felt like there was always better. But no matter where I went or what happened in my life, he was my comfort zone. He was the person that I would always come back to. You know what I mean? He was the one that I could be comfortable. And I think that even with him, like he just said, no matter where he was, even though we're fighting cats and dogs, I mean, we're head to head, when he called, like, I was like, oh, we gotta go. You know what I mean? Without a hesitation. And we'd fight about it later. But at that moment, it was like who we're supposed to be. Like, that's my person, like, you know what I mean? No matter what, and I think that's just where it all came down to. It's just, it's a feeling you can't replace no matter what you do. My daughter's back there.
But the fights were real. Like, I mean, we always had
the cops were at our house like every week.
Well, we always had a car from the little hood spot up the street. I'd always have a car that we'd hustle up. And then, we back then we had decks, we'd put the deck in.
Oh God.
But we would never bolt it all the way in. You know what I'm saying? It would always just be
So my
sitting
dad used to like hustle in the streets. That's what we're going to call that. And so he would always get decks, people would bring stuff to him, like wanting to, because of what he was choosing to do. And so then I would go, we get into a fight and he naturally is yelling, we're driving. I'm gonna actually turn on my R&B. You know what I mean? I'm gonna blow him out. Don't let me get a song. You know what I mean? Scrubs. I'll get some Destiny Child Scrubs
or something.
I'll get on all these songs.
I'll get in my feelings and I'll snatch the stereo out the car and throw it out the window. And then we'll fight all the way home. And then when we get home, she's like, "See what
you know we need a new deck, right?
We need a new deck, right? Yeah." So I'll go back and pick it up and put it back in so she have one in the morning. But the struggle was real. I mean, but there were some of our best times, I mean,
I remember the time we got pulled over. So we got into a fight. This is when he was bleaching my clothes. The cops came to the house. Mind you, we only had one kid, poor Junior. I don't know how he succeeded, but he made it. Okay. So the cops come to the house that night and you know what I mean? We're playing stupid by the time the cops come, knowing that I'm ready to fuck him up. You know what I mean? Excuse my language. I'm ready to kick his butt.
Yeah.
And so then the next day we get pulled over. He's got no license. He's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. But we pull over into a parking lot. And so he's like, you got to switch spots with me. So before the car can walk around, you know what I mean? We're switching spots real fast. And so then we're trying to pretend that he isn't who he is and give him a false name. And then the cop's like, no, I was at your guys' house last night.
I remember that night.
He got arrested. But yeah, but those
let's speak on struggles and redemptions more. Let's talk about Elijah, y'all. His early health battles, hospital visits, and how that tested you guys as parents at a young age.
So Elijah is her second son, our second son.
Biggie.
Right? Biggie, yeah. He's special needs, and he had to stay in a hospital in Portland for how long? Several months, right?
Yeah, he was in and out.
We're at like the Ronald McDonald House. Shout out to them. I don't know if they're still around. They gotta be still around, right?
And mind you, he's 25 now. Doctor said Elijah was never supposed to be able to walk, talk, or nothing. He does it all. Elijah's a true blessing, y'all. If you know Biggie, you know he's a true blessing.
So basically what happened is Elijah's my second son. We had Junior at 16. We got pregnant at 15. Then we had Elijah at 18. So Junior was like 2.5 years old when we had Elijah. So when we had him, we noticed like day 2, there was like some issues. He couldn't go to the bathroom. So they wanted to rush him away. It's about an hour drive to the Children's Hospital. Yeah. That's when they realized he had an imperfect anus, which means basically the membranes of his anus was no longer wasn't dilated. And so then they would do like, I don't know if you ever got your ring size done. It's like a little tapered thing. They would slowly like...
TMI.
Well, do you want me to explain it? I don't know how to do it. I'm
not like that.
Yeah, too much.
Okay, my bad.
All Eli's business out there.
Then as he got older, we would notice things like he was struggling to breathe. And oh, geez, my ring fell off. We couldn't figure out like what was going on. It turned out he had a hole in his heart. And so... the heart warmer was the first thing, but he had a hole in the heart.
Right.
So then at 8 months old, he had heart surgery to patch up the hole in the heart that was like the red and the blue blood cells were flowing together, so he kept getting pneumonia.
But let me remind you, what are we, 16?
No, we're 18 at that point.
Were we 18?
Yeah, we were 16 when we had him.
Oh, sheesh. Time flies.
So
but we were driving like an hour from Salem to Portland every day to be up there. Right.
And how did you guys make it through paying those medical bills and still stay hopeful?
Well, that was easy.
We had some hard times there. I think we were getting some free pizzas.
Oh, yeah, free pizzas. That you know, like I said, we did some orthodontic stuff.
Well, because he was special needs, he got medical, so that helped.
Right.
But then we had to support, taking care of him.
So basically, there was 2 parts to that. He had medical or whatever, so the mom always had the assistance or whatever, right, for housing or whatever. So that's how we held down her apartment. And then I was just in the wind. Basically, she lived by herself, because you couldn't have. She went to teen parenting, and I hated that place and the girls there with it. You know what I mean? Mom liked it.
That's because they were anti you.
Yeah, they were anti me for sure. But I bet they wish they had me now.
Yeah.
But I hated them girls. Anyway, yeah. But I always held down like a car in the gas, and I would get in trouble doing it and be gone probably more time than it was worth. But I think it worked out in the end that way, right? Yes.
I guess. My
help me out.
We made it work. We had to do what we had to do. You know what I mean? I was at that point in time, I think I was in college and I was taking welding, and Elijah was sick. So I had to take off time because I couldn't do, mind you, Elijah was only like 5 months old when we started getting really sick, and we were back and forth. I was nursing. And so it was hard for me to try to keep nursing while taking care of him, while trying to go to school. No, I wasn't in college. I was actually trying to get my GED. Yeah. Because that was important.
While taking care of me too.
And so it wasn't working out for me. I was struggling trying to make everything taken care of. Plus we had Junior. So just trying to make it all work. But at the end of the day, we had to do what we had to do to make sure the kids were okay.
Yeah, let's talk about that though. Taking care of you. Yeah, what were your times like? Yeah, what was going through your mind in those moments when you were in and out of trouble?
I don't think my mind was anything really. I mean, it was just,
he was doing stupid stuff for no reason.
Just emotions, just, going through the motions, right? I mean,
Life's a roller coaster.
I was confused. I didn't know, I didn't have no trade. I didn't have no skill of such.
I didn't want to work.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a different subject. I work hard now.
Now, but you didn't want to.
That is true.
He thought that the street life
you had a skill. It was just a different type of skill.
He thought the street life was faster and better than actually going to work. So he was more into at that point, his friends and his group and in the streets. It wasn't until all the fights and the battles that we did, and me standing our ground and
right.
tugging and pulling on him till
he
finally woke up.
What do you expect from a 15-year-old man? What do you want to call it, man, boy, whatever you want to call it? You know what I'm saying? For a 15-year-old with babies, and then she's like, hey, we need this, right? And I'm, what do you do as a guy? You know what I'm saying? My dad was in federal prison, so I didn't have any, real skills or support that way. So I adapted to what was around me, the friends and the people that were there, and I did what I did. I was different. I didn't sell drugs. I wasn't really into selling drugs or any of that stuff. I was a pimp by default one time.
Oh my God, Lord Jesus.
That didn't work out either. She got rid of them. What were their names?
I don't know what their name. Why would I remember their name 30 years later?
Thanks, Pooh Bear. Good looking.
Oh wow, you remember his name though?
Yeah,
huh?
Well, I went to my friend's house.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a business.
We can skip this part. All right. Nobody cares.
By default, that didn't work out.
Nobody cares.
But that wasn't really my thing either. I had a different type of hustle that was,
You were everywhere.
Yeah, but whatever made it work. I mean, I got the Halloween costumes. I got some groceries.
You stole his first Halloween costume. He was a jailbird.
You drove? You drove?
Nobody knows to know that.
You drove?
I was just going for the diapers.
Since we're throwing shots, you know what I mean? But, we just had to make do. We had to shake and bake, right? And whatever means necessary. And, that evolved, obviously. And then you go to jail. I never went to school. You went to, I'd wait outside. I would wait outside her school
I've
for her
always
to get
been
out.
real stern about trying to get an education. You know what I mean? I was completely depressed that I couldn't get my diploma and that I had to settle for a GED. And then I went on to college. I've always been, we're the opposite in that. I always wanted to provide. I wanted my kids, and I wanted to make sure that I did everything to make sure that the kids had everything that I couldn't get. It's not because my parents weren't bad or weren't anything. It's just because they couldn't give me those means. You know what I mean? So I always so I did get my GED. I did go on to school to get my welder's certificate and then on to welding. I've always been that way. He's always been into the streets and learning that way. Now, is that a default? No, because I believe that the life we live today is because of his push and what he's gone through and his guidance and his strength, because I'd probably be, God knows where if it wasn't for, him finally waking up, finding his calling, and becoming the man that he is today.
And I believe a lot of that I've learned through what he's had to go through. I've learned through seeing the struggle. I've learned through seeing that stuff, and I feel like that's helped make me focus and not have to go through those issues because I've already seen what it does and I've already learned from it. So it definitely plays a big part of it. You know what I mean? It definitely plays, God definitely lays those things out like that for a reason. You know what I mean? And so.
Yeah. you got to run towards faith, not away from it. You can't, you don't want to go backwards to where it's poverty. And people for, all the people in the world that are struggling, and, you got to give your hat to them because they make it through the most hardest situations, and they make, the most beautiful situations out of the hardest situations. And that's just a beautiful thing,
Truly is a blessing.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about when you moved from Seattle to Arizona for the restart. What did that look like?
Oh, I mean, well, you missed a spot, son, because we started in Salem.
Yeah.
And then we went to Seattle.
Right.
And then we went to
And
Phoenix,
a lot happened there.
and then Minnesota.
A lot happened there in Seattle. That was a hard time. You know, I went to federal prison at that time, and she left because obviously, you know, no matter how strong a woman is, fellas, you can break her, and when you do break her, it's tough. And you have no one to blame but yourself. So just remember that. That was the toughest part. And then
I think Seattle was our finding ourselves or trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I think at that point we were in Salem, so Oregon, and we had Ty, as you know, and then you obviously heard about Elijah, but what you haven't heard is we had another son, Tasire. So we have Ty now that is 27, Elijah is 25, and Tasire is 24. So we had Tasire and Elijah within 13 months. I remember I was taking Elijah into the doctors to get an x-ray, and she was like, you can come in. There's no way you can be pregnant because he was only 5 months old. But sure enough, I was pregnant with Tasire. And so when Ty's father's side of the family lives in Seattle, and he was like, hey, come this way. And at that point, we'd been battling it out since day one. And we said, okay, let's go. Let's just pack up and let's move to Seattle, and let's just, you know, see if this is going to be our prayers answering all the questions and the guidance and the love that we need, because we are still going head to head, and we, I would say, basically we went head to head for the first 6 years of our lives, just going at it. Seattle, we moved there. I got a job. I was working at Benton Bikes in Auburn, Washington. I was selling motocross gear. Ty was still trying to figure out who he was, and if a job was something he needed. It wasn't. He was still into his friends. He still was trying to, I think, find what was truly important to him, what he truly believed in. It wasn't, I think all our fights and all those years, that's what's kept us together, was never about love. I knew that he loved me unconditionally and in devotion, and I knew I loved him, but I also knew that at that point I needed more from him, and he had to figure that out. And so I think after we wind up separating, and he wind up going to Arizona. I stayed in Washington, and we didn't just separate. We separated for about 6 years. But during the 6 years, that same fight and bicker and fight back and forth never ended. You know what I mean? We fought like cats and dogs, but then we'd come together, and then we fight like cats and dogs, and we would come together.
But Arizona's a whole other subject. By the time when we got to Arizona, they had 2 more kids.
Yeah.
Not until you got to Arizona.
You skipped a whole lot, though.
No, we haven't got to Arizona yet.
Oh,
we're still in Seattle.
We're still in Seattle. You're trying to jump ahead of them.
So basically, I think in 2006 it was. He said he was ready, but he had a girlfriend, and I went and visited him in Phoenix, and he had a girlfriend, and of course, when we're together, we're like magnets. You know what I mean? Even though I said, I'm gonna come visit. I'm bringing the boys. I ain't want nothing to do with you. You don't want nothing to do with me. Of course, we stayed that whole time I was there together. Okay, not my fault. And so we tried it again, and we weren't ready yet. So then I went back home to Washington, and then that was in 2004 or 5.
Jumped ahead again.
Yeah, 2006. Then I came to visit.
You passed my dad. My dad unalived himself.
I wasn't trying to talk about that.
Oh, well.
That's part of the story, though. It definitely is an interesting part of the story. There's a lot that happened in those moments.
That was before we moved to Washington. We were still in Oregon. That's when I came to visit.
No, we lived in Washington.
No.
We moved back to Oregon.
No, we were in Oregon. Remember, you guys did that thing?
Oh.
And I had to drive with Junior, and the cops are all over the car. Oh. You were there. That was in Oregon.
Yeah. That was a tough time, though. That'll test your faith. You know, so my dad basically unalived himself with the oxyacetylene torch in a car under the
2002.
Under the West Seattle Bridge. He lit the torch inside the car, and the car blew up, and he died instantly. but he did it for a reason. So he did it because we got into some trouble, which is another story, but they were going to put me in federal prison for life. So he did that. And when he did it, he left a letter to the judge saying that he did it and I didn't have anything to do with it. So I still went to federal prison because I didn't tell them. So they gave me knowledge of and gave me a few years in federal prison. But that was a tough time for all of us, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was special to me.
Yeah.
Me too.
But moving on, where are we going, Junior? Now we're all choked up.
Yeah, we need to go
Where's
back.
the host?
We need to go back to where we were and we're moving to Arizona, so we get into some of the faith and the business stuff. Kind of where we're at now, how we turned it around from there. So we moved to Arizona in what?
I'd say 2006. Yeah, it was 2006 that I said, okay, Ty was already living there. He was doing his thing. And then my mom moved there too. So my mom's there, your other grandma, his mom's there.
Wherever we move, everybody rolls.
Grandpa Ricky moved there.
Grandpa Ricky.
No, he didn't move there until afterwards because he moved to Odessa.
Oh yeah, he moved to Odessa, my cousin.
So I said, we're just gonna go. You know what I mean? So I had 3 sons by then. And so I think I was 22 years old at that point. So we're just gonna pack up and we're just gonna go. I can't. We gotta go there. But I remember we were on our way. It was a long drive. We stopped in California, so my aunt and everybody. But I remember your dad had a girlfriend, and I called him and I said, we're gonna be there. And I remember this clearly. And he was like, okay, so you're gonna stop. I was like, no. My mom's got a place. We're gonna go to my mom's house and unload the car. And that's where we're gonna be. He's like, no, you gotta see. I haven't seen my kids. Bring my kids over here. Blah blah blah. So I said, all right, fine. So we got into town, and I was like, okay, you guys, we're gonna go see your dad real fast, right? And then we're gonna go to my mom's house because we're staying at my mom's. I'm not messing with your dad. And that is the night that we pulled in town. And then I got out of the car, and I was like, come on. Like nothing ever happened. And yeah, I never left. We never made it to my mom's house. We never went that far.
But Arizona was the good times. I finally, I'm a dream come true.
You were working.
I got a job.
You had a job.
I got a job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember we did
He
it.
was selling cars. He finally woke up
We had a pool
at
in
like
the backyard.
24 and got a job.
I was making good money too.
We had a pool in the backyard. It was
Yep.
nice. It was definitely good vibes. I had a lot of friends in school. It's definitely where my life kind of started figuring out for me too. I think I was in like 3rd grade at that time.
I think when
something like
we finally made that choice, it was still rocky because he had to close his chapters and I had to close mine, and we were just trying to figure out like where we went. And I think it was like, I don't know, a snap. I feel like we both just realized like, hey, look, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Like, if we're gonna, you know what I mean? I love you, and that was never a question, like I said, of love. But I think it was a one point, like we just both looked at each other and said, "This is we don't want."
Well, then I don't think men figure it out until they're like in their mid to late 20s, early 30s. I think they kind of come together and figure it out, So I at that point I started to come together and had a pretty good path.
Men are definitely late bloomers.
Within 1 year, we had Kanoa Joseph. He's now 17.
Then we had 2 more
No,
kids.
8. She's 12.
Oh, that was 28. Yeah, that is right, because it was "Can't Believe It." It was my favorite song by T-Pain and Lil Wayne. That was my favorite song.
We had
in the hospital.
Kanoa, which would have been our 4th son in 2008. And then we have our daughter, Kayliana, and we had her in 2012.
I remember they told me they were having another kid. I was like, y'all are crazy.
You've always
They
said
always
that.
wanted
Like,
a
I ain't
daughter.
doing no more. I'm not doing this no more.
Man, I would have had 10.
Our kids are our biggest blessing. And I think that because of our children, we are stronger.
She's such a great mom. She could have handled 10.
I would have. I wanted 2 more. I'm not going to lie. I told him, let's go. I got at 28. I got 2 years. I can do a couple more.
And here I am, about to 28, I got no kids.
Well, that's my purpose in my life, No matter what the struggles have always been, I feel like the one thing I've always done is been a strong mom, and my relationship with all my kids, I think, shows that I have, given my time and my effort, no matter what the struggles are, you know what I mean? They have appreciated that, you know what I mean? And I think that it shows on their growth, their personalities, who they are, that they have always been embraced because of that.
Now, the tile company, the flooring company, we started in Minnesota, but I think that your guys' first starts of trying to do your own business and stuff like that, and kind of starting to be self-employed, kind of started in Arizona with doing
Correct.
little repairs. Well, I think it kind of started with our landlords. You know, Arizona went through a hard time. I mean, the whole economy did, like 2008, 2009, 2010, 11.
That was your dad.
A funny story with that is that, so her brother had got out of prison for some stuff he did or whatever, and he was with us, and we we used to hit licks together or whatever when we were younger. And what happened is that as you get older and your values change in life, your kids are growing older, and the consequences start to outweigh the whatever it is you're doing. You have to find a new way to move, find a new hustle, right? So we found a new one, which was just construction type stuff, flooring,
You were doing landscaping for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, just whatever. He ended up becoming a tree climber, a great one. I mean, but we were going back and forth to Texas and doing like windows for this dude. And when we were going back and forth to Texas, we were out of money one time, and so I'm like, all right, well, let's just, it's like a 10-hour drive back to the house, and the rent was due. We were trying to get back home. We just knocked out a bunch of jobs, but we got to get home to get paid, on our new situation. And the funny thing is that we were completely out of money. We didn't have any gas or food to get home. So I was like, Riri, let's just hit a lick. You know what I mean? And so we went to this building and we pulled up behind there, and I went to go rip the door off, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And yeah, I mean, I tried like 3 different times, and I was just like, I wanted to do it, but I just couldn't do it.
The world's changed because
everything has changed.
10 more years, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
really,
5 years ago. I'm tough. A year ago.
Well, we already had
a year ago.
by then.
I mean, helicopters and dogs were a week. I don't want to say nightly, but like at least a weekly event.
We had Noah too, so we had another son.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm a welder right now, so I'm holding my job down at home with the kids.
Yeah.
And that's also what I was doing, throughout this time. I went and got my GED, then I became a welder, and that provided I made more money than anybody in my family's made, you know what I mean, at that point, you know what I mean?
For sure. I mean, we had a nice house. We had, where we were at? We were out in like, not Sun City, but what the hell was it?
Yeah, but you became a welder in Seattle because you were welding on Navy ships.
Yeah, I went to school in Salem, and that's when Elijah was sick, and I got my GED. And then I got my welding certificates. And I remember I dropped out during the middle of my welding course because there was stuff going on with you. And my instructors, thank God, they pulled me to the side. They said, don't drop out. Cassandra, we're gonna pass you through this term. And when the next term picks up, you make us a promise that you return back to school and you finish what you started. Yep. So I missed that term was TIG welding. So I didn't learn TIG welding. But I went back we made our agreement. I went back because I've always been strong in school. Yeah. And then I got my welding certificates, and then I went to Seattle and I started welding. I didn't know how to TIG at that point because I missed that whole semester because I was out. So I learned that in the field, and then I became a journeyman welder. And that's how I provided and took care of all the kids.
I'm pretty sure Grandpa John taught you a lot about how.
Oh yeah. He gave me a lot of keys. He got me my gear and my boots.
So Grandpa was a unique person.
That's my dad's father.
Yeah, my dad and
both grandpas were a pretty unique person, to be honest.
Correct.
They were really close. My father was Ricky, and my dad and his father, when they would get together, they were a personality that was, yes. I don't know if that was a good thing, but I loved them both. But they actually really did get along very well.
Yeah. Remember that night didn't he pick you up from school?
You didn't pick me up. He did.
No, he picked her up from school because I fell asleep and forgot to pick her up.
Yeah, we didn't sugarcoat that.
Basically a one night glimpse into what that life in reality was like for me growing up was that on the way for my dad to pick her up from school, he stopped in the middle of the day. What time was it? Probably 7?
I got out of school like 2 o'clock.
Or 2
3 o'clock.
So it must have been on a...
You've been sleeping for 2 days.
So how was the place closed? What day was it?
It was, I don't know, but they were closed.
Was it a Saturday?
I don't think they opened up till later in the afternoon.
I think it must have been a
No,
Saturday.
they didn't open up till later in the afternoon. I don't go to school on Saturday.
Oh, they didn't open till later in the afternoon. Anyways, it was some freaking horse saddle place, and I think my sister wanted a horse saddle, and he must have pulled into the parking lot, ripped the doors off, and just went in there and took the saddle and the safe, and then he went around the corner and picked her up from school. She gets in the car and she's like, "Where the hell did this come from?" He said, "Oh, never mind that." He drives back by where the police are at the building and just keeps on going, right? Then takes her to the bar, because I wouldn't get up.
Mind you, I was not 21. I think I
No.
was 19 at that point because I had decided. But he said, blank my son, if he can't be a man enough to pick up his wife from school,
Yeah.
then who cares?
So let's just rob a damn building on the way to pick you up.
I got so drunk that day. You
Yeah.
couldn't find me.
So, what I am is my creator. You know what I'm saying? So I can't, my creator.
No,
my
your
creator
dad was
made me
pretty
that way.
amazing at the same time.
Yeah, he made me amazing too.
I'm
you
just
know?
saying, he's a pretty
So-
amazing man.
Carry the torch. You know what I mean?
And so, I remember Arizona too. I mean, you guys went through some hustling phases. I remember digging a hole in the
But
house.
that's the thing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And
At that
so
point,
we-
you actually realized what was important.
Well, right. So we got back in the car and we drove home. And on the way home, we were almost out of gas. We were like 30 minutes from the house. And tell me why her brother got $10 in his wallet, y'all.
Oh, yep,
He
that'd be
got
my brother.
$10
He'd
in
be
his
saying
wallet.
that.
Didn't
My
say
brother
nothing
would say
about it
that.
the whole way.
We're
I'm
saying
over here
everybody
trying to
started.
rob a building
That'd be
to
my
get
brother.
us home, and this man got $10 in his wallet and didn't say nothing about it the whole damn trip.
They're
It's okay.
saving that.
It's crazy. I remember that when we were on there was the grow weed thing, when we dug the hole in the
Oh,
house,
God.
made a basement.
Your dad was always
I
on
was
the
in like
fence.
6th grade, man. I dug every
We
night.
didn't even
every
own
night
the
after
house.
school.
Did we take a moment to realize we didn't even own the house? It
We
was
cut
a rented
the
house.
4 tiles out and made a basement in the house in Arizona.
We had a beautiful pool in the backyard, and the whole landscaping exterior became piles of dirt.
I was pushing the dirt out, big dirt carts pushing
They
it
had a
out.
little.
We'd stop in the bathroom before we go outside, make sure there's no helicopters, and then we pour the dirt and try to spread it out so it didn't look obvious in the backyard.
It gets tough to feed 5 kids.
That's your creative ideas. What are you talking about?
I guarantee we go to the house right now, tear the 4 tiles up. That basement is still there.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
that-
definitely still there.
That was
3 months of digging
you
after
could stand
school.
in. That was a lot of digging.
A lot of digging. It was kind of cool though. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience.
I mean, they're gonna memorize that.
Definitely
I
taught
mean, we
me
didn't do
hard work.
anything with the hole, so you know what I mean. We were just
That's
being
kind of when I
creative.
started. I think I was like, that was 6th grade, like 11. Like that's kind of when I started.
You imagine how small
started-
it was at that point.
Yeah, that's kind of when I started getting my hands involved. We'd go fix little side jobs, I'd go help fix stuff with them. I would always hand them the tools, you know what I mean? So that's kind of what helped make me the man I am.
I think
Helped
Dad
make
was
me
trying to figure
handy.
out his trade. I was welding. I was content with welding, so I would weld, and then Dad would do, piecework.
But that's
or
where-
whatever.
that's
But then
where-
he always had a knack for making it work. He'd figure it out.
Mhm.
He'd figure it out.
But that's where life started to get good for us, right?
That is where it started to turn.
Yeah, I did.
That's where all of the past trauma and everything was starting to go away, and
That's where faith and business came, y'all.
I mean, we started to really develop our values at home, like our dinner. We cook dinner every night. Every night we still cook dinner every night.
Yeah, I think
if
that's when
either
we
she
finally
cooks
hit
or
that
I cook, but
growing
one of us
curve.
cook.
We hit a growing curve, definitely,
Yeah.
and we realized that
And then-
family over everything. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Bam.
And then we ended up moving into a big house, Peoria, and then, it ended up getting a little, slower. So we moved down to you guys took a tax return and bought a condo
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
for $40K
Oh, that was
on
him.
a contract for deed.
I
That
laughed
was the
when he
first-
said, "Let's buy this."
Yeah.
Bam. We made a lot of money on
We
that.
made a lot of money off that. It's in Glendale, right next to the Glendale Community College.
We lived several deep in there for quite a long
Well,
time.
let's start with the process of getting into it. Well, no, because we moved into one
First, we
And then
moved
we rented
into
one.
one. We rented it. And the renter, part of the deal, had cockroaches everywhere. So what we did, when we moved in, we tore the whole kitchen cabinets out.
Oh,
we remodeled the whole 4 months free rent.
I was not moving off my little spot. I was not moving. I said, okay, now, in my defense, I have been growing up in apartments and I've been around cockroaches. At this point in my life, I said, hell no, I ain't going back there again.
I remember the house in Seattle when we opened the door and the mice went running right across the front.
Not for me no more. I'll prove that stage in my life.
So we remodeled, me and Junior and the kids
They were
remodeled
in
the whole
there.
house.
We took the whole kitchen cabinets out.
I was like this. Yep, no, look, I had the little tweaker choice.
Mind you, while we're living in it, we got people living in the closet, 4 people up. We're building motorized, and that's when we started really getting into our family thing together. We started getting to like.
But when so we moved to the big old house in Peoria before we moved there, right? And our family is really, really tight. So we had this big old fancy house, right? But nobody's utilizing the space, right? Like we are all like in the same area. So like I would come home, I have my own bedroom, my own master suite bathroom, and my kids in the bathroom, right? Everybody is always in the same room. Nobody's in half that house was never even really seen unless it was time to go to sleep. Nobody ever was in that space. We were always together. So when we got to this 2-bedroom townhouse, it was perfect. Everybody was content that we were all together. We didn't have nowhere else to go. Ty had shared the room with Tasire. They had their beds and they would lift their beds up during the day and lean them on the wall. And then they would put down the plastic and they would turn it into some type of freaking goat cart shop. And they had bins, but we utilized every space. And I think that bond and that growing made us even closer, that we didn't need all that space. Like we were such a tight knit that everything we did, we only needed that space to do everything we did.
Yeah,
I was bartering, man. I was Craigslist flipping, buying and trading. Before
well,
Facebook Marketplace, you got Craigslist. We started with bicycles. I'd fix my friend's bicycles.
Yeah, they would blow him up with the cell phone.
We'd buy different bicycles off of Craigslist, trade things.
It had to be like this to lift the frame.
Then it got to motorized scooters and RC cars. And when we got motorized scooters, we thought we was on a different side of town like nothing, man. We was racing them. We was running from the cops on the motorized scooters because they're illegal.
I had bought a brand new furniture set and I had like the matching little desk with the kitchen table. And I tell you not, these mo freakers right here turned my whole nice kitchen table into a shop. That thing had stains on it from the engines, from them working on it.
We did have a Tahoe on 22s.
24s.
It was rice or beans for 2 months.
Oh,
we got the rims, and the kids were like, "Get the rims!"
Mind you, we live in a freaking whole blood neighborhood, and we might run around. It's a beautiful day in the blue Tahoe.
You gotta keep it G, right?
We were good. We were happy though.
But that condo we actually just sold last year. We made what we made.
We made a lot of money.
$250,000 on that condo.
We did remodel it though. We did remodel it. We did tore out everything.
I did actually
tile.
Yeah, Ty flew it.
I flew it by myself. My uncle was staying there.
So I think what I want to say is that although Ty's father was, in and out of jail, Ty's father did install into his son that you need to be the man that does it all. So you don't ever want to have to call on another man to come in your house. So
he didn't quite say it that way. But
he said that. You just weren't listening.
The way he said it was like this. We were living in a hole on the top of a mountain running from the FBI.
He built it. It was a nice camp.
No, I'm going to tell you how he said it exactly. So we were in a hole that he made me dig. In the side of a mountain, right? Yeah, I did make you dig a hole too. But in the side of a mountain, and he said to me, his exact words were, "If you don't have a bunch of money, she will leave you."
He said that to me too.
That's what he said to me.
He said that to me too.
And so I don't know.
But you wouldn't have learned all the trades that you have learned if it wasn't for him.
I think
he was a hands-on man.
He taught me all of my ingenuity. My ingenuity is,
and
I'm not saying this in a braggadocious way.
American ingenuity, y'all.
My ingenuity is next level. I mean, to be able to move things the way we move things and did things the way we did things were next level. But yeah, he taught me plumbing.
But that wasn't
framing.
babe.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he in a short period of time where I knew my dad, where he wasn't in federal prison, and he was in my life. The short period that I knew him,
that I met him,
he was incredible, and he even though the things that we did, or the things that he did were
immoral.
Like incorrect or not the right way.
You might not have went by. Okay, you may not have went by it the right way, but there you go.
Sure. Absolutely. You the man. You could. There's nobody in our family or any family or anybody that he knows that wouldn't trust him with their life, their car keys, their kids, whatever. He just had a certain addiction, addiction to what he did every night.
The street life will eat you up.
It was.
That was more. That was.
I don't know that it was necessarily street life.
Yeah,
it was fast in the street. He worked every day.
It's a certain endurance.
He was bald and he was big. He was like Dom Toretto.
But he was a truck driver and he worked 7 days a week. And there's a reason he worked 7 days a week, because he wanted to see where the armored truck went every day. But and then after work, as soon as he got after work, it was get your ass in the truck. You do what I did what I was told. You know what I'm saying? And so 7 days a week, and that became habit for me. And so then I continue to do the same thing, right? And but again, I mean, to say that you ever see that scene in Fast and the Furious where they pull the safe down the freeway? Yeah. That, in all seriousness, that come from my father. That wasn't a movie. That was our real life every day. And I would like to say, like I said, it was helicopters at least once a week.
Mine wasn't like that.
Well, how is it not? If the
my dad was in the street,
she's driving to come see me I'm living in a hole in a mountain in Seattle. She's driving to come see me, and the helicopter shuts down the whole freeway and pulls you guys out the car.
Yeah,
how is that? Matter of fact,
I said my dad wasn't like that.
I was gonna say, hold on,
because I know big grip.
My dad was into drugs.
I know there was a time
slanging and
I know there was a time or two where we needed some money, and he was in the back seat, and we yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
As a matter of fact, I got a scar right here because I slipped on the glass.
I thought I was pregnant with him when you guys put me in the car. I wasn't driving. I was in the middle seat. Get your backs right.
We over here on camera just snitching on each other.
Yeah, I was in the passenger seat.
This thing, y'all, is
trying to take care of my baby.
Everything has been done allegedly. Is 20 years old, and my dad did all. We're just talking about my dad, what he did. So
But let's now go into the how it's evolved. So in 2012, I think
let's get out of there.
2012, we were all living in this condo that we had bought with your tax return. That was I was in 9th grade at that time. I think I was going to Glendale.
2013.
High school. It was 2012. 2012. I remember.
She was born in 2012.
Yeah, but it was 2012 January. I think we moved to Arizona.
That was 13.
We moved to Minnesota.
13.
Oh, it was 13? That's crazy. But we came up with the bright idea because I think it was your friend Ryan, right? Ryan, who's still with us. Ryan still works with us. Ryan's still involved with us. Love Ryan.
Still Ty's best friend.
Yeah. He was from Minnesota. And so we had this bright thing that we're going to move to Minnesota. Trades make more money, right? You guys start a better bit ladder for whatever. We actually were going to move to Eau Claire.
That's the way it started.
Thank God we didn't do that.
We ended up homeless.
But the problem is we lived in Phoenix and we have a special needs son. He doesn't have like any particular special needs. He's born with abnormalities. He's got different chromosome issues, so he's a very rare. So we weren't getting any assistance to help him in Arizona.
Yeah.
So then Ryan, so that's how it started from. It was literally trying to make a difference. That we weren't being able to get any assistance, and then Ryan's originally from Minnesota, Edina. So he started talking, and we're like, hey, we live.
Yeah, he made it sound like it was heaven. And when we got here, we moved to North Minneapolis.
He was living in Arizona. Well, Ryan was living in Arizona at the time too. But when we we didn't have no winter clothes. We didn't have none of that.
We had none.
We had a Tahoe.
My kids had like stacks of
we had a
cargo
Tahoe
shorts.
And a service body truck that we had bought for like $3,500.
And we had all our dogs.
A diesel 6.5.
3 dogs.
Yeah, 6.5 diesel truck, which
mind you, now Arizona, every diesel pump is green. And when we first got to Arizona,
that's not my fault.
Yes,
That wasn't every diesel. It was BP.
Look, mind you, this winter, this is one of them brutal winters where the roads had ice on it. We've never been to Minnesota. We have no idea what we're going into. We ended up going to the house in Eau Claire. Couldn't move into there because
the resident in the house that was supposed to move out. So we were supposed to buy that house as a contract for the. The guy sent us all the way over there, and the person that lived in the house wouldn't move out. Yeah. So here we are. We got my mother and her husband and her dogs. We have all 5 of our kids and our 3 dogs. And we're just loaded up. We have, all our vehicles. And we have my nephew as well. So my nephew lives with us too. And so we're all don't know where to go because we're all the way here and we can't move in.
We stayed in a Motel 6 near the Mall of America that got tore down now. It's a car dealership. And we were there homeless for...
We didn't know where to go. We were literally just...
Ended up locking a house up in North Minneapolis.
We didn't know that North Minneapolis was the hood because it was, mind you, in like January, February. So it was all snowy. Everything looked beautiful because we're from Arizona, right? We don't get to see snow. We're just seeing like these, what do you call those houses? They're not vintage. They're what? It's the shape of it.
I don't know.
Villas?
Huh?
Villas?
No, that's not what the word is. But there's these.
I don't know what they're called, but
it's a V word, guys.
Villas.
Village houses.
It's the shape like a V. You don't know like they're V.
Villas.
No, they're not villas.
For us, all the Arizona houses, the Minnesota houses, and the cities
are all the same.
Are all different. The house in North Minneapolis that was leaning like this.
Yeah,
but Grandpa thought he was at home. Grandpa was already trying to work everything he can. Grandpa thought he was writing.
He back in Cali.
I was with him too until they started shooting at the corner and grabbing.
Grandpa was like, "Are we good? Ooh, look at that chicken place." No.
When we were younger, I was always for money. If it didn't make dollars, it didn't make sense. My dad clearly told me I was going to lose my wife and my kids if I didn't make some money. So everything I did was money driven, right? And so I've never understood the whole, shooting at each other thing. I just don't.
My father was he loved it here. He's from Oakland. He's from Cali. He's a Cali guy. So it was nothing new to him. He was home sweet home. But we found a house and I think it was like in the first week we were going to the grocery store and we have Elijah in the backseat and no sooner than we're driving, like the cop is like a couple cars behind us.
Off Broadway.
He makes a left turn and then there's like a liquor store and then the bus stop and then all you hear is pop, pop, pop. And Elijah's special needs. So he went home to tell everybody that pop, 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 pop up the street. You don't know. You don't know no better. But at that point, my kids were not going outside. Nope, they were not going outside. And I know it was hard. It was a transition because when we lived in Phoenix, Junior would hop on his GoPed and he would take his little brothers and they would go from Phoenix to Glendale to Peoria. They would just drop down in the washes. But they no longer had that freedom. And I think.
But at this point, I had a daughter. And
we had our little girl. She was 1 year old
so
when we moved.
We had to shake and bake. We had to make something happen, Megan.
We took your tax return again now. Bought some tile tools.
I was welding.
And we
because Ty was they got a job doing some piecework for Lennar's houses. And it was Ty's, my stepdad, Roy, and then Ty, and they were doing piece houses. So Lennar houses for piecework. And Junior was in high school, and my nephew also was I think Bo was getting his GED. And so they started doing that, and then the boys would hop in.
But then we figured out that
big thanks to Roy. Big thanks to Roy.
Oh yeah, he's taught them all. It all started with
Roy's been doing this for
Papa Roy blessed us with the new hustle.
He blessed us with the new legal hustle, and blue collar, working with your hands. He blessed us with a trade.
Hard work,
but that
gave us a path.
It gave us a path.
Junior was like 14 years old, and I remember we were doing a Lennar house, and him and Papa are in doing a shower, and Junior and Papa was like, he said, Papa, I ain't doing all that. I'm coming for your job. Papa's like, oh yeah, you coming for my son? I don't know. I'm no helper. I'm coming for your job. Papa said, you better get in here then.
Yeah, I would work, first 3 years, I worked every day, 7
Junior's
days a
works
month.
18 hours, 15, 16,
Before
18
school.
hours every day, 7 days a week.
I
since
remember
we were
we got to doing the Lenars. We got going to do more. We started we were doing like 5, 6, 10 homes a week or whatever, right? We had some Spanish guys working with us.
Yeah, but then we figured out that mom's a minority.
Oh yeah,
And that we
They
could
made
start
me
a
quit.
company.
They made me quit my welding job.
Yeah, she had to quit the welding job.
And they made me take over. They wanted me to learn how to estimate and all that. And I didn't know nothing about that. I don't know anything.
We learned David Bacon wage, prevailing wage,
Right.
leveraging, working the system. You know what I mean? You gotta leverage everything you can at the time, and that took us off. But it was definitely
A journey, a mad journey.
I mean, we started from nothing. We never had credit. We never had any of that. We've always just been fighting to survive. You know what I mean? And find our way, and at the same time still love each other and endure our family. So it was always a struggle, because when they decided to do that, I had to quit. And I had to quit welding. And then I had to go learn how to be an office person, which I've always been a hands-on type of woman. I'd rather be out in the field all day long welding. So I had to learn how to do, the books, and how to learn how to do all the things. And through the years, it started. And then Junior got his first job at Cookie Cart. And I remember, we were definitely eating up his paycheck, because we're big bodies. And so we were getting cookies, and then he'd get mad. He'd get a check, and it was like $30. And these only get like 20 hours a week, if that.
I wanted like 120. I'm trying to get this. I want to get this Xbox. Let me get these hours.
Get an Xbox game. And so then he came on board, and then it started with, then Bo and him came on board, and then that started, and that was going, and we were doing pieceworks, and then we was like, we can't do residential no more. This residential is not working.
We got like
Let's dip into commercial. And so
yeah, but we did residential for a while though.
We
started on the ground. It gave us comfortable.
I remember getting our first $20,000 check, and we at that time we
were
thought
big balling at that point.
Now we get you can get months sometimes that are 400,000. It's like you get that first $20,000 check, and we thought we were
the first $5,000 check.
We
we
were
were like, game on, let's go. We're going out, bro.
That became
the bills are paid.
That became the new lick.
And the police ain't looking for us. God is great. We just
So how would you guys say faith played a role in the early days?
Struggle. I mean, I think everything led up to that. I think struggles, faith, determination, love, passion.
My personal journey with faith was tougher for me. That's
Rehab?
that's why I have this tattoo here. This says, "Father, forgive me," just because all the bad things that I've done, or all the things I've done, are just. And there was a comment that my dad had made to me one night. He had said, what did he say? He said, if there was a God, I'd be dead. I think maybe he was having a bad night or whatever that night he was going through. But as a kid, when I heard that from, my idol, right, that affected me different with my relationship with God. And I've had a hard time defining who God is in my journey, but it's every day it's getting stronger and better. Does that make sense?
Yeah. For me, it's always been like, my family's my world. So I came from struggles.
Amen.
I love my parents. I love them, both to death. My father, rest in peace. You know what I mean? My mom, she's always fought and to do whatever she can do. And, my father was my father, you know what I mean? And no matter what street he came from or how he was still my father. And there's no question and doubt if he loved me. But as I became a parent, I think that's became my superpower. I'm going to call that. Being a parent has made me fight harder, you know what I mean? To protect, to love, to push, I want more. And not for myself. I want more for them. I want them to do the things. So I think with that, and then as we grew, we both, our kids are our world. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear, my kids say that they're hungry. I don't want to hear that my kids, we're gonna push, we're gonna do whatever we can and watch them grow. And as and we have one daughter, but as all our sons grew, it became even more of a blessing as we can watch the transition of them growing and Ty growing and his brothers and their connection, and that became my superpower. I believe that's my strength. You know what I mean? Without my kids, gosh knows, you know what I mean? I'd probably be a hot mess trying to still figure out who I am. But because of them, they made us stronger.
We still are a hot mess.
You are. Speak to yourself. True.
What was the first big job or the first milestone where it was like we really felt like we, you know what I mean, we like the first moment
I think
where
it was,
like,
I think the first big job was the first time I went with the government, not the military.
military base?
Yeah, the military base.
Yeah.
We were all that was our first actual real job. It wasn't even that big. I think it was only like 10, 20,000.
Bid and won.
Yeah, but it was our bid that we won,
Yeah.
and I think, it was on the base. And I remember you guys were all still like young when you guys went onto that job, to actually be able to go and see all the other people and they're looking at you like, what are you doing here? Like, you don't belong here. I mean, that was the first step before we actually got into Lifetime.
Well, yeah, I show up with 20, 10 to 20.
Only a few.
I remember we had, realistically, we had 15 Vatos, right, they were working with us. And we were doing Lennar Homes at the time, and
They were all gone. And
they went all the way back.
Jaime,
Everybody left, and it went down to me, you, and Mom were working on jobs.
Correct.
Right? It went all the way down because I used to get dropped off. I was like 15, I didn't even have a license. But I get dropped off in a neighborhood.
They worked that whole first day for like 24 hours.
Yeah,
I get dropped off in a neighborhood. I remember that the lights were burning. Our eyes got burnt from the light because it didn't have the glass cover on it.
Oh yeah, the halogen light.
And
the
our lights
bulb
got
broke,
burnt.
and I came back. The next morning, and him and Bo got like sunburn on their face.
You were like, "Where's Ty and Bo?" I'm like, "I don't think they came home
We did
yet."
two
Like,
master.
they're still working.
2 master showers at Lennar Homes. We worked 26 hours straight. I was like, freaking Bo was like 18. I was like 6. Not even that. I think I was like 14, 16 or whatever. But I'd get dropped off in the neighborhood. We'd drop off material stock 3 houses. And I'm bouncing tile in my house and bouncing between 2 other houses. The guys that barely speak English, I'm teaching them how to set tile at the same time I'm doing mine, and it was an experience. But we went down from 15 and went all the way back. We went all the way back to 3 of us, and it was us 3 working, and then we went from there. And that's
Papa was still living in Phoenix at that point. He was out here, and then he would go back, then he would come back.
Yep.
Before they actually moved here.
Yep. And then, but the first moment where we feel like we actually made it, I think, is when we started to.
Well, we were still trying to find our purpose, our place. So we were doing piecework. We were working with other subcontractors, trying to find work. And as we started dipping into trying to transition from residential to commercial, we started doing the piecework. And then I think it was in 2015 when we got the call to go for Jerry's to go help out with Lifetime. And that was a big thing because Lifetime Construction is a huge company. And it was a thing because all the boys we had at this point are now Junior and Bo, and then all the friends that want to work with Junior, and they're all, under 18 years old. So when we show up at a commercial project, right, and all the guys get out of the car, they're all like teenagers, they're, and they're not 18 years old. And so the contractors are looking at us like we're running a daycare, like, what the hell is going on? Why the hell are all these kids out there? And I remember Ty and Papa be like, bro, just move out of our way. Are you ready? Because we're ready. Can you move out of our way? And they would go in there.
It's like an orchestra.
And they would knock it out, right? And so then their juniors try to talk to us like, and a lot of the places they're older men and they're the union, and so they're older. They're like, we're not listening to these freaking kids. And then Ty would come in there and he would come talking to them, and they was like, what the hell? This young guy's in here. And that's how we won Lifetime, because he went in there and he took over. And then we ran that through and we knocked it out. So then it became another Lifetime and then another Lifetime.
And that's what we started to feel like, man, we started really doing, we're doing these big jobs. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of square feet now we're doing. Every 3 months we're doing.
And there are contracts.
100,000 square feet of tile, 150,000 square feet of tile, And that's where we really, and then we started doing 2 of them at a time. Right. That's really where it started, growing. And at the same time we started, learning how to get better at bidding. and everything, and then
everything was a learning curve, just trying to figure out like where we are, like, okay, so what did we do wrong? How do we fix it? The next one, let's go. You know what I mean? Never folding, never giving up, but just keep pushing forward and getting through it.
Going through it all, coming from, they come from the background they have, we didn't have no credit, didn't have no capital, didn't have none of that, you know what I mean? It was just pure.
It's still all learning. We're still evolving. We're still getting bigger and better customers, and it's still.
I mean, now we're at an era where he's more into technology, so he's learning that other step. We're old school, we're kind of stuck in our own little wagons,
right.
You know what I mean? We're doing our own little thing, but he's taking us now to another level, you know what I mean? Which is, where we always wanted to go, and we've always talked about getting there,
right.
But we didn't know the mindset to get there. You know what I mean? We've been pushing and fighting to get to where we are, that we haven't been able to learn those new areas, and now he is more into learning those curves, which is now taking us to different aspects. And Dad's over here falling in love with all the steps and all the things that he's done to change. Yeah. Because he's been wanting it for so long, but we just didn't know how to go about to get there.
Yeah, recently been studying. The past 4 or 5 years, I've just been studying. I would say I've always felt like we had I've always had still on me that there's a bigger purpose to this all, and so like I've always been researching and reading since I was a young kid. I've always studied real estate. I've always felt like I've had a bigger purpose, and so I've always tried to study this business. The past 3-4 years, I've looked at probably 1,000 businesses' tax returns, just analyzing their structure, the company, researching private equity, like everything like that. And so I've really been trying to come into our company and put AI through everything, and create systems and workflows and stuff like that, and just trying to figure out the right way now to restructuring assets and everything. Like wealth isn't about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. You know what I mean? And so it's a learning curve, but it's wouldn't take gratitude for everything. Wouldn't take anything back. But what is one lesson you guys feel like you learned from running a $5 million company that you wish every entrepreneur knew?
They make it look easy on the internet and TikTok, and
it's never easy. If
they make it all look easy, but it's tough.
It's brutal.
It's brutal.
Most of those guys ain't built real businesses though. They just talk about it.
And nothing easy is done. Everybody would do it if it was easy. It's brutal. It's patience. You got to be ready for the grit. I think
right.
You know what I mean. The grinding of it. Sacrificing. You gotta be prepared for all the ups and downs. You know what I mean. You can't just fold when your back is to a corner. You gotta learn how to fight.
I think for me, it's just such a grind. It's just like being in the streets, right? It just keeps you occupied. It keeps my mind occupied and keeps I'm on a diet, y'all. I'm down 20. I'm trying not to bite my fingernails no more. But it just keeps your mind occupied and kept me busy. Gave me another purpose. But yeah, God is good.
And what does it mean now seeing your kids growing into their own purposes? Because we're all starting to get older and starting to figure out what we got going on.
Means I'm getting old.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Life is good. And,
we've been blessed beyond words. For 5 kids, we have 4 sons and 1 daughter. It's good to see everybody grow in there, and at the same time you get to see their individual personalities, but all at the same time you can realize that they are a lot in one. You know what I mean? And that is a blessing for us to have grown through all the ups and downs and the challenges that we have since we were 15 and still standing here today, and with our family. It's to me, it's my biggest accomplishment, yes, besides being a parent. You know what I mean? I can roll over tomorrow and argue with him, but I'm going back to sleep. I ain't got time for all that extra. You know what I mean? That's my person, and our kids are grown, and they respect us all, and they respect each other. And so, I can't wait to see what their next chapter is as they grow up. You know what I mean? We still got 1 in middle school and 1 in high school, and all the rest of them. And Elijah's got his little day program, If he can go to work, we let him go to the job site with them. Then, like on the weekends when
He
it's not
goes
so-
with us sometimes.
he goes and works. Grandma was yelling at me today. He had thin set all up in his fingers from working all
If you
weekend.
follow my TikTok, you see I post them on the weekends and he works.
Know,
But we
so-
still got a lot. Juniors, I mean,
we still got a lot of growth. We're not nowhere near stopping.
Yeah, he's good. We got big plans to grow
Yeah,
to
so-
the next level and a lot different things than just what we're doing now. So Junior will probably talk about that more on more of his
So what lessons do you guys hope the viewers would take from seeing, like watching,
Never
hearing
give
your
up.
guys' struggle?
Never
If
give
you
up on
want
each
something
other.
bad enough and you truly want it, never give up. Keep fighting for what you want.
Yeah.
Keep fighting for your beliefs. Keep pushing forward, and maintain strong. The world can be brutal, and it can
The world
be
is
trying. And if you fold, you'll never accomplish what you truly
No.
desire and what you want.
All right, and what's your biggest prayer for our family's future?
What?
I said money.
Money?
Growth,
Growth.
peace,
I believe when you come from nothing, you don't have financial literacy because it's not instilled any of the time, and you get to making a lot of money, you lose the value of a dollar. And I believe that we went through that.
Yeah.
And
that was a big learning curve.
We abused money, and and because of that, God put us through a struggle to learn how to appreciate the money and what's the value of money. And that's kind of the phase that we're going into now.
We're gonna learn to make that money work for us.
Yes, instead of working for the money. That's it,
right.
but we had to go through that, and so you have to have grace for that. You have to have gratitude for your life and the things that you go through, because they're what make you and build you up into who you are. But what advice would you guys give young couples or parents trying to start over right now, or that are going through similar things that you guys had to go through?
In your era?
We're soft.
First of all, make sure you know what you want before you do what you do. You know what I mean? It's easier to get caught up in the moment. Having a child and setting down to have that is a lifetime commitment. You know what I mean?
Well, you just gotta go off the old-fashioned morals and beliefs. You get married, it's for life. You get, you gotta fight for it. It's not. You're not gonna get. It's not gonna be.
Nothing's
love.
ever
It's
gonna
just
be
not
perfect.
happen.
Nothing's gonna be. You know what I mean?
If
just
you
gotta,
love each other, you'll fight it. You'll fight through it together to the end.
But I think the problem is now is that it's so easy that in the mindset before when in the older days you married for life through ups and downs. So now I think the issue is that people are marrying and then when it's down, they're down.
You don't even experience love until you're 20 years deep.
Well, it's
You know what I'm
they
saying?
say 7 years in a relationship for you actually get to know somebody.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what we fought that 7 years.
But yeah, okay, so it's after a decade. It's after a decade to where you can start having the feeling of real love. You know what I mean? It's
but
not
you just gotta hold and love each other no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether you're together or not, just remember it's always about the child. Once you make the decision that you're having a child, that you remember that no matter what, the ups or downs, you know what I mean? Protect yourself, protect your child, but try to remember that all the burdens in life, the only person that's truly going to hurt in the end of the game is going to be the child.
Yeah.
So hold tight, embrace, you know what I mean, and ride that wave to the best that you can. But, you know what I mean, not
God
all
bless.
circumstances are the same. Every circumstance is different. Sometimes there's ups and sometimes there's downs. Sometimes you just got to, you know what I mean? But you still, let's keep it 100.
I love you, babe.
But where are you going? You gotta
smoke
smoke
break.
a cigarette.
Yeah, y'all. This is where Built by Ty started, in faith and struggle and family. Everything I do now is built on what they sacrificed back then. If you're watching this and you're in your own season of struggle, remember God's not punishing you. He's preparing you. Y'all keep building. God bless you. And thanks for tuning in for the story on my life.
Thank
and
you.
what made me, or my parents' life and what made me, y'all.